My name is Elias Van Steenberg from the Cigar Flavor Notes YouTube channel. And today I have the great privilege of being at Perdomo Cigars with Mr. Nick Perdomo himself. And he was very gracious and agreed to give us this interview. Um, I am a member of a group on Reddit called Cigars, and I told them that I was going to do this interview, and they provided some questions for this interview. I have the first two questions are mine, and then the others come from that group, and they will watch the interview. It is like 206,000 members, so hopefully they'll watch it as well. So, Nick, thank you again for giving us this interview.
My pleasure.
And a question from me. I have been testing cigars for a while, and not many years though, but sometime. When I was a kid, I had this ability to tell you at this distance if a sauce was spicy or not, just by the smell, or at this distance if a Coca-Cola was diet or not, just by the smell. So I have this sense of smell, and I've been tasting some cigars through the last several months, and all of the cigars have like a typical flavor and smell depending on the wrapper. Like a Connecticut usually has this cedar note. Some of them have creamy. Some makers put pepper or something like that. Some don't. But your cigars, for every wrapper type that you have, they all have these wonderful herbal notes. Some of them fruity and some of them herbal, but they are like amazing. It's a little bit like the Cubans that they master the art of put herbal notes on their cigars, and you do that too, but you have like your own brand because your cigars are not like the Cubans; they don't taste or smell like those. You have like your own brand of aromas and tastes, they are delicious. That's the reason that everybody loves your cigars. So how do you achieve that?
Well, the first thing is being vertically integrated. When you grow your own tobacco, you develop your own seed strains. We have our own genetic department, our own meteorological department. You can control your destiny a lot better. So, for example, we have our own proprietary seed, and the seed is very important when you grow the tobacco. We're also blessed that we can grow tobacco in Nicaragua. In my personal opinion, it's the finest tobacco in the world, and the reason is because tobacco needs three things. It needs abundant amounts of water. Nicaragua is an Indian word that means never without water. The second thing is we have incredible volcanic grounds that are devoid of lead, which is very unique in that. And the third thing is you have photosynthesis. We have sunshine of upwards to 13 to 14 hours a day, which produces really thick, lush tobacco. My father, who was in the cigar industry, always said if we knew about Nicaragua, we would have forgot about Cuba a long time ago. And today, Nicaragua is not only the number one imported cigar in America, but it'll soon be the number one imported cigar worldwide. I believe that in the next 7 to 10 years. Everybody laughed at me. I remember years ago, I was saying that Nicaragua would bypass the Dominican Republic and Honduras. And the Dominican Republic was up here and Honduras was here. And Nicaragua was below countries like Mexico, the Bahamas, the Canary Islands, and Jamaica, for example. And today we're the number one imported cigar in North America. So those are some of the attributes. And the reason that our cigars have these distinct aromas is because we grow our own tobacco, we cure the tobacco to perfection, we ferment the tobacco, and we age the tobacco. Our youngest tobaccos in our cigars are 4 to 5 years old. That's unheard of today. Everybody's in a rush to get things out. We have a tremendous amount of inventories of fillers, binders, and wrappers, and that's our secret. And also our barrel aging process, where we use American whiskey barrels to actually finish off the wrappers. And we don't do it to impart bourbon. We do it because the alcohol residue does three things. It gives it another fermentation because of free radicals of alcohol moving in the barrels. They're charred on the inside, so when you char barrels, you basically it's charcoal. It's a filtering agent. It takes a lot of the rough edges off the tobacco, and because the barrels are unvarnished, the tobacco breathes. So what happens is you get a darker cast of colors. The sugars rise up to the tobaccos the way they should, and you get that solid tobacco core flavor, and that's where you get those nuances and different aromas that you get from our cigars that you normally don't get from the other cigars. So if you juxtapose all those things that we do, that's what happens, and that's what makes the difference in our cigars versus other cigars. And my father was a stickler when he's alive. I started my business out of a garage in 1992, and my dad came soon on in 1994. My father was the head of the H. Upmann factory. My grandfather was the head of Partagas. My grandfather's brother was a minister of tobacco in Cuba. But that's when Cuba made great cigars in the 40s. Things have really dwindled, as we know. But yeah, we're really proud that we're in Nicaragua. We've been there since 1992.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. So, a couple of days ago when we spoke, you mentioned that you are visiting different cities in Latin America and expanding. But for what I have observed, and I'm not an expert, but some of the biggest markets where the biggest money is spent on cigars are like London, Dubai, and Southeast Asia. Are you currently targeting those areas?
We're entrenched in all three of the areas. It's kind of funny. I was in London last year, and I was at J.J. Fox's, which is a cigar store that's been around for 170 years, and I did hosted a big cigar dinner there. And when I started, never in my life would I think I'd be in these types of stores. But we have great distribution teams in Dubai, and we have a great distributor in Hong Kong, and we're in 67 different countries around the world today.
Wow.
And we just came back from Mexico, your country. We did some incredible events in Guadalajara, Monterrey, Puebla, and some of the most beautiful cigar lounges I ever saw in my life. Just fantastic. And the Mexican market is growing. The cigars are very expensive, but there's also people that have a lot of money that really enjoy the finer things of life that you see in Mexico. So I was pleasantly surprised, and our distributors out there, Cuesta Rey in Mexico, do a great job for us.
Very good. Very good. So now I'm going to get into the questions that came from the Reddit group. Is it still recording and everything? Very good. So this is one of the questions. Tell Nick that Joy from Portland, Texas, says his 10th anniversary Maduro is the greatest Maduro of all time. Not debatable.
I don't disagree with you. It's one of the few cigars when we launched that cigar, and thank you for the question and the compliment. In 2022, when we came out with that brand, it won Cigar of the Year in Cigar Journal. The Cigar Authority also gave it, and Tobacco Business Daily. And what I was proud of those three things, it wasn't four panelists in a cigar magazine. It was actually voted by consumers. And we had literally over 100,000 consumers that voted that year between the three. And we won Cigar of the Year in all three of those periodicals, which is, I don't think, ever been done in the cigar industry today. And it is a wonderful cigar. It's a cigar I blended in 2021. And I wanted something a little bit different than what we normally do. It's more of a medium-bodied Maduro with a lot of tobacco from the Jalapa Valley, which is a very mineral-laden type of valley that produces a lot of sweet aromatic tobacco. And I knew with those wrappers we could come out with really a harmonious blend. I'm glad you enjoy it. We're really proud of that cigar. And it's one of the best sellers in America today.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Now, the second question is, the best stick he ever had was a Perdomo Habano Maduro Churchill with an obsidian black colored wrapper with tons of tooth. He will buy it again, and the wrapper isn't the same. He wants to buy a box of the dark wrappers only. How can he do it?
Well, remember, we don't paint our wrappers or alter them like some people do. So wrappers are a leaf. So basically, we use the highest primings, and all our wrappers are toothy. But the true Maduro goes anywhere from a dark chocolate to what we call an Oscuro. It doesn't really affect the flavor, believe it or not, because the sugar content is right there where it should be. Maduro means to ripen. It's actually a sweeter wrapper. So I wouldn't be worried if you love that blend. We color sort those cigars. So you can actually shade up to 40 different colors in Maduro, but because it's natural and we don't alter them, that's why you see some cigars that are all jet black. That's impossible. The leaf doesn't give you that. So I would venture to say to you is to try every one of the Habanos. I think you'll like them regardless of shade color because you're looking at it visually. And what you have to do with cigars, you have to taste them. You know, when we do our tastings with our tasting panel, we actually blindfold ourselves. Because if we look, we assume what the cigar is going to taste like. And that's exactly what you're doing. So try it, and you'll see that I'm correct on that.
Very good. This comes from somebody on Southeast Asia. And he says to please make more Perdomo sampler because it is very hard for him to get it in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, we're working hard. Our distributors are out there doing a great job, but they're buying a tremendous amount of cigars from us, and we're trying to keep production. We keep growing in the Southeast Asian market, and it's one of the markets that we feel that we have to penetrate even more of because it's such a evolving market that's growing. So be on the lookout. You'll see more Perdomo cigars out in the Southeast Asian market.
Thank you. The next question, and I think I know the answer, is if you still play the drums, and if you can please look at the
Yes, sir.
office
I
around.
still play the drums. There's numerous drum sets in my office. It's my stress reliever. It's what I enjoy to do. I'm very passionate about it. I've been playing drums since I was 11 years old, so I'm going on 50 years playing. And as I get older, it's nice to go back and play. And I like to play a lot of the 70s and 80s type of rock music. Still do.
I play the piano.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I had my rock band when I was 16.
Piano players are important. They
Yeah,
sure are. Yeah, we love keyboard players. It's part of the rhythm section, that's for sure.
exactly. Very good. So, what a question is: do you smoke anything that is not Perdomo?
I smoke everything. I know a lot of people say they don't, but to me, I love what I make, but I also taste everybody's cigars. And the reason I do that is like a great chef. Is there something different that I could do better? Is there any tobaccos out there that I really like? And there's some great cigars out there. I got to be honest with you. I prefer mine because I do certain things that other people don't do to their cigars. The aging processes that we do by being a vertically integrated company, I can taste tobaccos that are not fully fermented as they should be. The barrel aging that most people don't do, I don't think anybody does, is something very important to us. And it really finishes off the cigars. And when you smoke, look, this is what I do for a living. I can taste the different nuances. I did a thing in Russia where they blindfolded me and gave me 5 different cigars and said, okay, one cigar is going to be from the Dominican Republic, one's going to be from Honduras, one's going to be from Nicaragua, one's going to be from Mexico, one's going to be from Cuba, right? So I lit up the first cigar. I said, this cigar is gritty. This is from Honduras. All the other cigar makers had failed miserably on the testing when they were blindfolded, because we taste blindfolded all the time. I have an advantage. And I work with all these different tobaccos, especially with private labels and so on, not necessarily my brands. And they said, you're right. And then I said, the second tobacco is floral, kind of linear. This is from the Dominican Republic. You're right. The third cigar didn't draw. I said, this must be from Cuba. Yeah, you're right. And then to make a long story short, the last cigar, I said, this is from Nicaragua. And this is a Perdomo 20th anniversary sun grown. Wow. And they were blown away. So yeah. And the reason I'm good at this is because I do smoke all different types of cigars. A lot of people, like I said, will tell you they don't, but if you don't smoke other people's cigars and try cigars from different provinces and areas and countries, how are you going to know how great your cigars are? And how can you always try to better yourself and improve on your product?
So several people ask, what is your favorite Perdomo and your favorite non-Perdomo cigar?
That's a hard question because I love all of them. I can't release something unless I love it, right? It doesn't have to be right exactly my wheelhouse, because I have to make cigars maybe what you like and what you like, right? But I would say my everyday, if I could smoke anything of mine, I would smoke 30th anniversary. I would smoke 12-year double age vintage. But I love all the cigars. I mean, I smoked a Champagne Churchill last night with some friends. I thought it was just wonderful. I had it with the tequila, believe it or not. I thought it was great. I had a mezcal, and it was smoky with that creamy flavor. It worked out perfect. But I think the cigar that's mostly in my wheelhouse is the Perdomo 20th anniversary sun grown. And I'm a big Torpedo and Churchill guy, but that's probably the one in my wheelhouse. But I love all my cigars. If I don't, my God, I would put my name on them. Your name's your honor, right? So,
absolutely. And from the non-Perdomo cigars?
I like some of the stuff from Nicaragua. You know, there's some decent cigar makers out there. I got a friend of mine, Abdel Fernandez. I smoked some of his stuff. I was in Nicaragua with him 3 weeks ago. He came out with a new cigar. I really enjoyed it to celebrate his 20th anniversary. I thought it was very good. But I'm going all across the board trying people's cigars, and a lot of the retailers will ask me, try this. A lot of times when I'm in Nicaragua, a lot of the younger cigar makers will ask me to come over and, hey, can you try this? I will. I've been on a panel one time many years ago with Cigar Aficionado, and a famous cigar maker said, I don't smoke anybody's cigars. And of course that was bullshit. But I told him, I said, it's terrible that you say that. The consumer's not dumb. I certainly respect my consumer. And, but yeah, I smoke everybody's stuff. Yeah.
Thank you. So, somebody said Nick Perdomo seems like a very cool guy.
Thank you.
They have a question. Do you believe that artificial intelligence has a place on the cigar, tobacco growers, or in the industry in general? Do you see it as an investment opportunity or something for the cigar industry?
Well, the way I look at AI, I look at it like a million different people who've gotten questions plugged into it, and they figure out the best answer to the question, whether you think it's right or wrong. I think there'll be a place for it in the future. There's no doubt about it. Right now, I use a lot of traditional methods in growing tobacco, but I use a lot of advanced methods too. And like we have a watering system that was developed from us in the country of Israel, for example, and they're the best when it comes to conserving water because they don't have water. We can actually pelletize water droplets now and put the exact parts per million of nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, boron, and copper and all the microelements to adequately give the tobacco plant its exact nutrients from underground through a drip system. So that's new technology. It was a very expensive endeavor for us, but we started that about 9 years ago. And what's happened since we've used this new technology, bigger, thicker, lusher tobacco, heavier yields, and it's worked good for us. A lot of people think it's outrageously expensive. It is, but I think you, the customer, is worth it. My dad always said it takes 10 years to get a customer, 3 seconds to lose one. And every year, my job is to try to better and better our products. And I think we've done that.
No, excellent. Thank you. So the next question is Aníbal Tavares, one of the members of the group, says, "Love Nick. I had the opportunity to speak with him a few times. Always very nice." The next one is, "I'm honestly curious to how he can produce a cigar like the 30th anniversary with a wrapper that has been aged for 15 years and make it cost what it does."
And make it what?
Make it cost what it does, like it's not super expensive.
Look, my dad always said small profits guarantee you stay in business. Since we're vertically integrated, we can pass on the savings to our consumers. I've always said hogs get slaughtered. I've never understood these $30 and $40 cigars where in blind tastings, a $7 lot 23 blows it away in tastings. I got a conscience, you know. Our most expensive cigar is $14.25. And if somebody had the type of tobaccos we have, they would easily charge you $40 and $50. I just find it unnecessary, to be quite honest with you.
Thank you for that. Then the next one is, how does your factory maintain such great construction for every cigar? He never had one fall apart or need a touch up. Is part of the reason he keeps going back.
Well, thank you. One of the things we're renowned as is our quality. So we're big sticklers of quality. For example, a cigar roller only makes one size. We never move him to different sizes. Once he captures his size, the way we incentivize that roller is paying him scales, like he makes Churchills if he's making Coronas, or if he's making Robustas like he's making Torpedoes. And what we do is we do step increases. Once people, I always say practice makes permanent in a lot of instances, right? So when the average cigar roller makes about 113,000 cigars a year. If he has total quality and total control of that, why would I move him to another size? So it's better incentivized. That's one of the reasons. The next thing we do is we actually check each cigar before it goes in the box 18 times by 18 different specialists, not including every single cigar's draw test. We draw test over 100,000 cigars a day in our facility. We haven't had a draw complaint in 17 years. We freeze all our tobacco. We've never had a bug complaint. We make our cigar rollers. There's a lot of things that we do. We make them wash their hands 8 times a day. Every hour on the hour, they have to wash their hands with antibacterial soap. We put our mouth on these things. I've been to factories that I know of now that I would never put one of their cigars in my mouth. Cleanliness is a big issue for us, and it should be a big issue for we cellophane every cigar. The reason we cellophane every cigar is because when you go in a humidor, people stick them in their nose. They got them in their hands. I don't think I'd ever buy a cigar that's not cellophane. And I have the most beautiful wrappers in the industry, and they would look better if they weren't cellophane, but it causes damage, cracks, stress cracks. And when a consumer gets it, sometimes you'll get a pop, and it's because the cigar wasn't protected. And antiseptically, the cellophane protects a lot of mold, spores, viruses, and germs. So we're proud of that, and thank you for that. We rarely get any complaints. Last year we had 4 complaints, and the guy who answers to all those complaints is me. Mm-hmm. And out of those 4, 3 of them were operator error. But you still make good on it, and that's the reason I have my YouTube channel, Perdomo Cigars, to teach people how to properly cut, how to light cigars. And my 33 years of cigar making, my thing is for people to enjoy our product. And if I can teach them how to cut a cigar properly, light a cigar, not take the band off, for example, so the wrapper doesn't come apart or so on. What I want to do is I want to bring joy to the cigar smoker. They pay a lot of money to smoke their cigars. So that's the reason I did this educational system. And a lot of people have thanked me for it. And seen, I think you even said,
I have seen a lot of those videos.
Yeah. And it's helpful, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what I want. That's what it was for. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. Then please ask him if there are any Perdomo ESV 2002 laying around in a warehouse. I need them.
I wish I could get them to you. I'd like to have some. We don't have any of them. A lot of people get mad at me and say, "Why don't you have this brand anymore?" And the reason is once we run out of that tobacco, if it's a crop year that we tell you, we finish. I'm not going to put a band on a cigar and lie to my consumer and tell them it's the same cigar. That I won't do. So unfortunately, a lot of times when we had ESV Vintage 91, well, we're in 2025 now. That's long gone. 2002 is gone. Grand Cru 2006 gone. Because if we have a series of year, there's only an infinite amount of tobacco that we have, right? So we're sticklers on that. For example, our 30th, we have enough tobacco for about 6 years. That's why we only opened up 100 accounts. We wanted to make sure that the accounts that have would be an in-stock position. If we opened up the floodgates, we'd only have production for a year and a half. So we want to make sure that the retailers that carry 30th and 12-year double-aged vintage are always in in-stock position. Our consumers can buy them from those stores and always be in stock. And the reason we can keep consistency on brands like Champagne or 20th Anniversary is because we do everything in lot numbers. So farming is very complex. You just can't say, I'm going to use light tobaccos from the Esteli Valley. The grounds are different. You have to make sure that you fertilize the grounds adequately for the parts per million of nutrients that the tobaccos need. So that's how we've built consistency, and why we've had brands like Perdomo Habano for 23 years, Lot 23 for 22 years. Champagne is approaching 22 years and continue growing. And if you talk to people that smoke those cigars, one of the things they talk about is how consistent the flavor is. Yeah. And that's what we strive for, because it's not just about making great constructed cigars. That we do that well. We also want our dosages and blends to be exactly alike. When you smoke a cigar, and you're a cigar smoker, you ever smoke something, you like it, you light up another one, you go, man, this doesn't taste the same.
Yeah.
That's very frustrating next to a cigar not drawing. And the reason is they're working from bale to bale. You really have to have a consistency of your tobacco, know your regions, and know how to blend properly.
Very good. Still recording everything well? Okay. This is the same question about AI. Then, what happened to the Perdomo 2 Square? I miss that cigar. I think I last had it around 2010 or 2011. Any chance it comes back?
Well, the problem with that cigar was made with a Cameron wrapper, and I love that cigar. Rick Marifel, who was the biggest grower at Cameron, had passed away, and when he passed away, we stopped using that tobacco. We really liked what he did, and Rick was a really personal friend of mine. So what we did is we retired that brand because of that.
Oh,
yeah, that's why. Yeah.
He also says that he loves the 30-year Maduro.
Me too.
Yeah, and then somebody asked, what is your favorite part of the job or the journey to this point?
That's a great question. Since we do everything, I actually love it all, from milling wood to make cigar boxes to seed strain varieties with our genetic department, to growing, curing, fermenting, aging tobacco, and cigar making. Since we do it all, I kind of love it all, because I'm a hands-on owner, because I really enjoy this. The average workers work for me for almost 21 years, and we have 7,000 employees. So to have that loyalty, It's pretty impressive, and I'm honored by it and humbled by it. But you have to be there looking at every department. A great CEO has to get his hands dirty. It's not about playing golf. It's about getting his hands dirty. And I do that whether I'm in Nicaragua or I'm out there visiting our consumers all around the world. So it's a hard question. I love it all. I think probably my biggest love is the farming right now. I really took onto that. We started our growing operations in the latter part of 1998. We're going on 26 years growing tobacco, and I really love that. But it's hard for me to say one or the other. It's kind of like having a bunch of kids. You like every one of them, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the next one is, what was one of the biggest hurdles you have to overcome on your path to success?
Well, when I first started business, you should never take on a partner. I took on a partner. He swindled me for a lot of money. But you know, in business, it's one of the toughest things. Being an entrepreneur is one of the toughest things you'll ever go through. I'm writing a book right now, and I'm talking about the different, you know, peaks and valleys and trials and tribulations I've had in my business. And anybody who says they never struggle in business has no idea how hard it is to run a business. And I started out of my garage, so I made plenty of mistakes, but the important thing is learning from them. And I learned from every one of them. And I think that the reason for our success always has been our quality. My dad always said quality always brings quantity. And that's how we grew from making 3,000 cigars a month to making, you know, 2 million cigars a month. You know, it's by quality. And I tell everybody, whatever you're going to do it with passion, have a vision for it, and do it like you did it for yourself. And if you do it like you do it for yourself and you're picky about things like I am, you're going to be successful. But you got to be willing to put in the hours and the work. And it's a tremendous amount of work. I worked 17 years straight without taking a day off. Christmas, New Year's, my birthday stuff. Hey, people have done it. A lot of people can't do it. But if you want to be successful, those are some of the things you have to do to be successful.
Okay, that's very impressive. So Joe named Maduros is a user from Reddit. He says, my favorite cigar maker.
Thank you.
Then somebody asked if you finally got a gold record at Two Guys Cigar Expo last year.
Yeah, I was one of the Hall of Fame. I ended up winning the Hall of Fame last year at Tobacco Expo. Thank you for that. That was an honor.
Nice. 3 questions now. Now this one I already asked. And then, what is your vision for the future of Perdomo?
My vision's future growth. You know, I want the company to propel forward, but in a methodical way. And our thing is always about quality. And we have a culture in the company. We always end our emails by saying, perfection's the gold, excellence is merely tolerated. And we believe that. And there's a big difference between being extraordinary and mediocre. And we don't want to be mediocre. The pendulum either goes one way or the other way. I don't want to be very good. I want to be outstanding. So we're always trying to be perfect. It's not a reality in most cases, but extraordinary is, and we can be extraordinary. And I want the company to continue that. And I also, the great mark of a of a great president and CEO of a company is that their brand always outlasts their livelihood. So when I'm no longer around, I hope the company's 10 times the size it was. But my job as the captain of the ship is to steer it in the right direction, and I'm going to leave it that way when I do. But I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, no, hopefully not. So the other one is to please thank everybody involved at Perdomo. Like what they like the bourbon barrel aged sun grown, that it is a phenomenal cigar, and that in general he feels that he cannot go wrong with a Perdomo.
Well, thank you. That's what we work for. I remember when my father was alive, we were up in Virginia, and we were at the christening of the Ronald Reagan, and my dad was in the cigar shop, and he was smiling from ear to ear, and I said, "What are you so happy about?" He said, "The consumers love our products," and he said, "That's why we work so hard for." And I can tell you, time and time again, me and my father would be at our desk literally 11:30 at night. We had been there since 5 o'clock in the morning, just dead asleep. And you work yourself to the bone. This is a hard job. This is not a job that you run with a pencil and paper. This is a job that you have to run with your heart, because you have so many different intricacies. You have weather phenomena. You have workers, so many workers. Everything's done manually. People have good days. They have bad days. And you have to really overcome all these obstacles. And there's so many obstacles in making great cigars. And it's something that I cherish, and it's something that I embrace, honestly, to be quite honest with you. So I love it. I remember when I used to have my part-time job, that was 40 hours a week. Today, these kids think that working 40 hours is a big deal. 40 hours, what's that? That's nothing. I'm at work at 7, leave till 6, 7. I've cut back. I'm only working 12 hours a day, but people today think working 9 to 5 is different. That's the difference between being extraordinary and mediocre.
Exactly.
People say, "Oh God, it's so hard to make a living here in Miami. I only make so much an hour." Well, work another job. I work two. I work 3 sometimes.
Yeah.
You make more money when you work 2 jobs. There's nothing wrong with that. But they all want to make the big payday, make the max amount of money with the most little amount of work. Well, I promise you one thing: you'll never be successful in life if you work that way, unless you're blessed that your dad was born before you and made a lot more money than you did. You just can't do it that way. You got to work for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Very true. Um, Somebody asked, will he send more stock to Toronto, Canada?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our Canadian distributor, they run out of product consistently. It's certainly not our fault. The Canadian market is draconian with its taxes and so on, but we just had a conversation about that. The market's growing for us, even with all the laws. I'm happy they lost their prime minister. He wasn't very good, and hopefully things will turn around. Maybe they'll get a new form of government where the cigar smokers will be given a little bit of breathing room there in Canada, So, yeah, we're looking forward to increasing our market share in the Canadian market. Thank you for that question.
Very good. Somebody says, if it was not for Nick Perdomo, I will never be smoking a lot of American cigars. Say thanks to him for me. Appreciate all the lineup, especially the 12-year age Perdomo.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you smoking our cigars. We have a very loyal following. We started a thing many years ago. I was I was with Gene Simmons from Kiss, and we were talking years ago, and he said, I started this thing out years ago called the Kiss Army, and you should do something like that. So we did, as we came out with this big marketing strategy called the Perdomo Army, and we have several 100,000 members, and it built our business, and we have a lot of loyal fans, and we really respect them and really appreciate it. And that's the whole thing. You got to not only love what you do, not only love what you produce, but you got to love the people that shop with you and buy from you. You got to be loyal to them. I mean, I still have triplicate forms of retailers when I start out in my garage, and these are guys I still do business with today. So yeah, I'm humbled by that.
Nice. Last question is there a significance to the number of tobacco leaves in the Perdomo logo? I love the design of the logo. Could Nick walk us through the design details of the logo, such as the various metal coins and leaves?
Okay, that's a great question. As far as the leaves, it's a cylinder. There's no significance to the amount. It was what appeared correct on that. As far as the coins, if you look at the coins on the 30th anniversary, the coins on the top that go left to right, in the old days in Cuba, those were medals that you won for cigars for cigar awards. So all the medals on top, there were 13 medals that my father won at H. Upman, and on the bottom, there are 12 medals that my grandfather won at parties. So those are the medals that wrap around. Those are the medals that wrap around the cigars, and you'll see that in the new Perdomo Legacy. It'll be coming out in May of this year. Great question. Great question. People have a lot of attention to detail, and they see certain things, and I think that's what we do, because we adapt to what the consumer wants. And we kind of know what they want, but we always want their feedback too. And a lot of guys in business, regardless whether they're in the cigar business, they don't listen to their consumers and their retailers enough. And if you do, I think you can be a lot more successful quicker that way too.
Very good. Do you want to say a few words for the members of the Cigars group on Reddit?
Well, I'd like to thank them for listening in and appreciate their patronage and their support of Perdomo Cigars. We're excited about 2025, especially here in America. I think we're going to have a change. We had a really rough 4 years in our last economy, and we're very excited about getting our country back on track and relieving government intrusion, regulation, the size of government, and getting young entrepreneurs and business people back to work and becoming more successful and bringing gas prices down. We're excited about 2025. So far, in the first couple weeks of January, we've had bumper sales, even though the country is extremely cold right now. We've had a big blizzard come across the central part of the country all the way to the northeast. You had people are buying cigars, and it's really cold. So we're really excited about 2025. And thank you all for listening in, and thank you for interviewing me. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for giving me this opportunity. And
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. To me, it's just it's the same opportunity as to you. Believe me, I put my pants on like everybody else, but I'm happy to do it, and thank you for having me.
so thanks for watching.